We'll take a look as we get into picks and bans if Janus is able to be played again by Macetodaface or if EnVy will switch things around.
I'm banning that away right now if I'm EnVy. Every other team bans away Mesa's Janus, and I think EnVy just found out why that is a fact of North American Smite. Hell going to be taken away, though. Do not want Cyclone to run that. Denial, unlikely to change up their strategy too much. They found a lot of success in it.
So Hell gonna be taken off as you said. We'll see what the other bans are. I'm really interested on the EnVy side of the map here because everything worked out for Denial. I think the Ho Yi pick for Bronx was one of the more impactful picks. Obviously, he played well, and we talked a lot about that. But I think the pick was important as well. One of the things that I noticed coming out of Bronx was how much he made use of the recent change. We've mentioned the ricochet change a lot on these broadcasts, but we haven't gone into the jump change. It's a 60% scaling on that ability, and how many times on that highlight reel did we see Bronx just jump on somebody?
Yeah, I mean, it basically kind of just evened it up because every other Hunter jump is like 60 to 70% scaling. It was kind of like just completely underpowered, and you know, the buff was intended to really allow Hi-rez to be that more aggressive with their jump and not make it an escape-only type deal.
And for a player like BronxBombers, an escape is all well and good, but he wants to jump on you and go for those kills.
So for me here, Denial is... They draft Thor, and actually we saw this kind of in the same situation against London Conspiracy and Dignitas, where Thor was first picked for Frostiak, and then London Conspiracy responded immediately with a Khepri and like a Wukong. There's the Khepri, there's the Geb. EnVy taking the top 2 supports in the game. They've also banned out Athena. Denial Esports also are going to be able to get their Janus here, and I see no reason for them not to take it.
Janus and Khumba picked by Denial here. maybe not the Khumba, but EnVy does the same thing here, picking 2 very tanky gods early on. Janus pick, of course, by Denial. I mean, it was a large part of what allowed the outside lanes to do what they did in that game that we just watched. And Bellona, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So for me, Khepri or Geb here, this is definitely taking away from Denial more than picking for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
The Khepri or Geb going to have to go solo. I know CycloneSpin has scrimmed with it. They've said it on streams before, and it was actually very successful. I don't know how much they've run it since then.
Which one?
Khepri.
Khepri in the solo lane? Because we've seen Geb, we've seen the...
And then Osiris is locked in?
So we've seen Sylvana solo run by Ataraxia, and Geb has been casually run in the solo lane with some janky ideas such as Mystical Mail and Telkine's Ring and Fatalis. I don't know which direction this is going in. All I know is right now EnVy is going to be extremely difficult to kill.
Yeah, they've also drafted Osiris. So much damage reduction on their team. They need to pick up 2 big hard carries. I love the ban of Aphrodite. You could tell that EnVy were going that route the second they banned Odin, but at the same time, EnVy, they may not have actually wanted Aphrodite. They might have banned away the Odin, knowing that Denial would respond with banning away the Aphrodite. We'll have to see what they pick. We'll likely be able to tell if that's their deal.
So just judging off of this,
I
need to see some damage, and that's what we're going to see. We're going to see Apwash, which is straight damage. This character is so vulnerable, but there's pluses to minuses to all characters, and for as easy as Apwash is to kill, he deals just as much damage.
I wanted to see Anubis.
Anubis.
I'm not going to lie.
Just
I know Kiki's not running it,
damage.
but like if that was Mace to the face there, he would have picked the Anubis over the Apwash. I honestly believe so.
Basically, and the intention, the reason you bring up Anubis is because it's just raw damage. Everybody else is here to provide help, and so Apwash is just there for the raw damage component of this team. And Denial, they're going to pick up Khumbakarna.
Okay, they picked up Khumbakarna. I was wrong. That's going to be going to Shadowq. More than likely. Thor in the jungle on Sikandara. Last pick coming through for EnVy. Last game, they also had a very late game-oriented comp. Unfortunately, though, they had nothing to control the early game for them. Now, Allied looking for a Hunter.
Apollo.
Is he going to go something?
Medusa.
Okay, I like this.
I like this pick. This is a character that when Medusa came out originally, Allied was one of the players that really played her well. And one of the things that Allied is really known for, he's not necessarily known for his lane dominance, but once it translates into the team fight time, that's where Allied sort of brings it out. And Medusa does very similar things with her ability to team fight.
Yeah, and, you know, Acid Spray, it's a pretty safe clear. It doesn't have to worry about getting pressured out too much. And, yeah, the team fighting from him, so strong. Solo lane, it is going to be CycloneSpin. Mid lane, or it's going to be Weekend in the jungle with Khepri. Okay, so we've got some more spicy pick coming out from Weekend here. We've seen him experiment a lot recently. It seems that this stuff is finding success in scrims, but it has not been very strong recently.
You know,
in the game.
I'm racking my brain here, and you take a look at some of the other junglers that have really come to fruition out of the Guardian archetype, and you look at, most notably, I guess, Ymir and Athena are the first ones to really come to mind. Ymir has a large amount of damage, and Athena does as well, but a lot of what she brings in the jungle is to set up with the taunt, right? It's to set up the other players. And the Khumbakarna jungle, again, largely about set up, put up in the air, and see how your lanes will follow up on that. Weaken on this Khepri. Is it the same idea? Do you sort of blink or not blink in, just get an abduct and then see how people follow up?
It's mostly for the 2v2 situation because Macetodaface, he has no movement abilities in the middle of the lane, right?
Okay, yeah.
If Khepri can find the root or the pluck,
right.
Puch is going to combo for at least half his health, starting at level 4. Maybe even level 3, because that's just how strong Puch's burst is.
Okay.
If Macetodaface is against a wall, he'll be able to portal out, but if we can catch him out there away from a wall, he's not guaranteed dead, but he's going to be taking a lot of poke.
That makes sense. I mean, it's a strong way to actually physically move Macetodaface, or Janus more specifically, away from his portals, because those portals did provide a lot of trouble for Envy in the last game. And you take a look at the top of your screen, you can see Denial. They took the first one in this 2-game set 1-0, so Envy trying to bring it back.
Khepri rotating, actually going to beat Sikandara to those mid camps, it seems. It seems like Denial don't want to fight this Puch Khepri early on. Like I was saying, one pull from the Khepri, and it's going to be a lot of burst onto whatever player is hit. Dual lane going the way of this Geb Medusa. Yeah, so allied now on a god that can control the lane a little bit better early on. Medusa has her acid spray.
If he hits the acid spray. We just watched it miss right
Listen,
there,
we're not going to talk about that, allied. You're fine.
So Shadowq on this Khumbakarna. Much different role that he's going to be playing here in support. Macetodaface.
Portal's down.
He's going to get hit by
Portal's down.
Khepri.
One more second. Oh, he's caught. He's actually away from a wall there. Can they root him out? No. Real surprising misplay from Envy. The root's going to be in place. This will be first blood, though.
There it is.
Nice pickup. That is what you want to see.
Jungle Khepri on the board early. First kill on the game for Envy. And it's on Weekend. Jungle Khepri.
See, they now have the pressure in multiple lanes here. This is what I like from Envy. They didn't just pick up this Guardian jungle that they had to team fight evenly or behind from and wait for the late game. They've got more pressure onto them. Good, strong start for them.
CycloneSpin. Soul lane doing a little bit differently than last time around. Whalrus, about 40% HP, continuously getting poked out by CycloneSpin.
So for now, it's like not only first blood, but it's also the two players who were losing their lanes in game one are now winning their games. Yeah. It's going to be much harder for Denial to come back into this one. Although I say come back, right, the game's dead even outside of the first blood. But they don't have a big lead.
And it's the adjustment that comes out of Envy that we see out of these top-tier teams. Is, all right, you know what, you beat us in game one because of XYZ. Well, we're going to deal with XYZ, and that's exactly what happened. Medusa to take more control of the lane, a lot more clear for Medusa Geb than Xbalanque is concerned. And then in the solo lane as well, Chuck had the clear, but CycloneSpin now has other options now that he's playing on this Osiris.
Game not very heavily paced right now, but Envy, they have first blood. They also have a 1k gold lead. You saw Denial really take a 4-1 kill advantage, but could only manage like a 600 or 700 lead. That's because Envy, they farm so well as a team. They're so proficient and so efficient with their gold sharing and XP sharing.
And to that notion, one kill on the side of Envy, and they're almost up by 1,000. Bronx slowed out by the ult out of Allied, but not enough to catch up and get the kill. BronxBombers is very low. He'll probably clear this wave, and we'll see if he opts to stick around or if he's going to head back to base.
It's probably dependent on his golden hand. You see 981. He really wants to finish his Devourer's Gauntlets, but not going to have enough before he backs.
He's just got the aggression. Acid Spray is, one, it's not unpredictable, but it's hard to figure out where you're going to get hit by, and more importantly, the range of it is incredible.
Look at this invade coming out from Envy. Sikandara recognizes it. He's rotated Macetodaface here as well, and it looks like Weekend going to miss his abilities, but you can see Macetodaface with that portal. Denial as a team has decided not to contest this. Envy don't recognize it though, and they pull off the attack speed buff.
Denial able to scare Envy enough to leave the attack speed buff alone. Multiple members of Envy here going to secure the mid-Harpies at the very least. A different approach from Khepri this time around. No hog on Weekend in the jungle this time.
Doesn't want to risk not having that second active. It really hurt him in the last engagement, or excuse me, the last fight. The last game, excuse me, where all he had was a blink, right? And the Hog was there for objectives, but they weren't able to utilize it against objectives. And then he's caught with no defensive active, no beads, no heavenly, no shell, so doesn't want to get caught in the same scenario 2 games in a row.
Looking for someone is weakened, but he misses, and that's the downside of Abduct. It puts you behind enemy lines.
He's fine. He is so tanky.
Without many items online, so just that natural Guardian tankiness really coming into play for Weekend here.
Yeah, I mean, his passive also stacks up a shield on him. You can see the little blue marker there, so that absorbing a little bit of damage as well. Just going to steal, or excuse me, secure away his speed buff for now. A Gab and a Khepri go into the jungle. How many Guardians does it take to kill a speed buff?
Hades and 2 more. I think the last time we were commentating together, Kevin, we were looking at a solo Hades basic attack down a camp.
Hey, it gets done.
Pretty much the same thing.
Maybe not as fast as he wants it to.
Blue buff here secured for Bellona by Sikandara. He's making his rotations, and Weekend and Incon want to say something. The backs are stopped. Here comes 3 members to 2 on the side of Envy. Up, down, out of the solo laner. Thor's in the air looking for safety. Whalrus left alone. Envy here surrounding perfect body blocks, but it's not enough. Whalrus able to walk out of there.
I'm really surprised we didn't see Maced ult there. They definitely knew this was happening, but Whalrus still able to escape out of that one. BronxBombers. Looks like Bronx wants to fight this.
Of course he does. BronxBombers always wants to fight it. Allied was winning that until he got a stun into ultimate on the side of BronxBombers. So now, all said and done, still very even as far as these hunters are concerned. Both of them very low HP.
I think they'll be fine for the most part. Oh, here's Macetodaface looking for the snipe, but Allied was on the other side of it. He's going to be able to walk out of that one. Rotation coming from Weekend on this Khepri, and he'll be fine.
So 2 different approaches for the hunters today. Lifesteal already online, already on board for Denial's hunter BronxBombers. He's going into those Devo gloves, whereas on the other side, no stacking out of Allied, just the boots. Most likely to go the Soul Leader route.
100% Soul Leader. I mean, this is just kind of what builds you really wanted, and Allied going to be a little bit tankier with the Soul Leader build, although he's got to be careful early on because he has no lifesteal in his kit.
Right.
It looks like he'll be fine for the most part, though. Just wanted to enhance his Acid Spray to do more damage and help really dominate that lane. That's why I went Bluestone.
Makes sense. Bluestone going to help him clear and, you know, a little bit of poke as well. Shadowq here, zoning out the enemy. As Denial looks for the mid Harpies. Envy has made their presence known. There's 4 members here now to Denial's 3.
Nice wall. A little bit of poke also zones them off from going on, but a root going to catch Macetodaface in the middle.
Great blink. Great blink out of Shadowq is going to put himself on the other side of the situation.
He's dead.
Down comes the Thor. Sikandara looking for more. KikiSoCheeky, he's going to be ulted. Allied chasing Sikandara on the backside. Incon gets a Cataclysm. BronxBombers in trouble. That should be hot death, and it is. Allied secures a kill off of the assist from Weekend.
Great play coming out from Envy as a team, locking down the players they needed one at a time, forcing Macetodaface out at the beginning of that fight. Sikandara almost found Kiki, but Weekend hitting a very nice ult. Sikandara rooted out here, and Weekend, he's playing zone duty. He's actually pulling Sikandara into the team. Sikandara, one more hit, and he should fall, but, you know, actually delaying this Gold Fury. Doesn't look like Denial's going to be able to fight it, though.
Yeah, it delays just a little bit. A little bit of a miscommunication there as Gold Fury heals up a little bit while Envy's all by themselves. But Gold Fury does fall, and that'll give Envy the first real lead of this game. Just under 3,000 gold in their coffers above their enemy.
No, it's Denial. It's not enemy.
Listen, don't deny my cool
Stop.
lines, okay?
Okay, it's one thing if like one of us do it, but the other can't continue. It just gets real bad, real awkward, real fast.
I'm sorry, folks. My co-caster just a little bit envious of my ability to lay it down.
I'm just eager for us to stop casting. I really am.
We're going to put an end cap on that one as we're 8.5 in.
Yeah,
much different story
than
than the first time around. 3 kills on the side of Envy. Last game, we saw almost the opposite. Denial wound up with 4 kills before Envy was even able to find themselves on the scoreboard. This time, it's all Envy.
A lot of it's coming down to Allied being able to pressure out his lane, and CycloneSpin not getting out as pressured. We saw some rotations. Whalrus was controlling him early, but I mean, for now it's dead even, and it's not, you know, CycloneSpin 2 levels behind, and you know, a death or 500 gold. And you can even see here he's outboxing Whalrus right now in this direct matchup in lane.
A little bit more comfortable, it seems, on the Osiris. It's interesting because Chalk is generally thought of as a as an easy god to play, but of course at this high level of play, it's all about the intricacies and the small things that the gods come with, and we see a lot more Osiris out of CycloneSpin than Chuck, so probably just a little bit more comfortable, would you say?
Probably. Whalrus, nice juke, though, to avoid the afterlife there, and Whalrus is going to be fine. Left-hand side, though, a big ultimate trying to lock down Allied, who escapes through his Tier 2 tower at Sikandara, not going to be able, or not willing to cut that off.
That's another thing that Allied has with the Medusa is the dash. It's a long-range dash. Rising Jaguar is there, but the dash out of Medusa able to do what he wants. Whalrus being grabbed. Khepri in. I mean, Khepri's not in trouble. Khepri's just that tanky.
We can just use every single one of his damaging abilities and tickled Whalrus with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the downside, I guess, of this Guardian jungle is unlike Ymir or Athena, as we were talking about, Khepri doesn't have much in the way of raw damage.
He's a second support, right? It's just running a different style. Knock up, Mace to the face, flowing backward, Mace taking a lot of damage there. Can he make it to the wall? This is portal up. It doesn't look like it. One more dot. CycloneSpin finds that kill. In the meantime, Shadowq trying to get away from Incon and KikiSoCheeky. The slow connects, but not going to be enough damage. Team EnVyUs walk away with one more kill.
Shadowq just barely getting out of there. BronxBombers going to help clear the jungle for his team. While Envy find themselves in the mid lane, they might be able to get this tower, actually. Whalrus only at the Tier 2. Tier 1 getting pressured. I don't know if Envy's going to be able to. It looks like they will.
Yeah,
there it is.
This is free. Mid camps once again going the way. Alec going to take a little bit of poke here, but he'll be fine. Able to walk out of that one.
You're able to slither away.
Slither out of that one, I guess.
There you go.
Medusa not walking too often.
Trouble in the mid lane. Envy on the upside, it seems. 5 members here. Roma Invicta used as an escape mechanism, but combined is Medusa and the solo lane Osiris
May
for the kill onto Whalrus. Weekend going to go ahead, grab Shadowq. He's going to fall. A couple of basics will secure his death. And now BronxBombers from the side unleashes the Suns, but it doesn't mind. Envy walks to the other side of the lane, and now they're going to retreat.
I mean, they won that fight clean, as well as they had Scarab blessing up just in case anyone got a little in too much of a little.
Very close.
That wouldn't have been a kill, but it would have been sneaky. CycloneSpin might find the stun on the BronxBombers if he can't take to the sky. Did that get canceled out? Okay, no. I almost thought we saw the animation start up. I got real worried for Bronx. He was guaranteed dead if that didn't work.
Just barely. Look at CycloneSpin. CycloneSpin stood here.
He's 4 levels above Bronx.
CycloneSpin stood by himself, doing nothing, looking at the opponent, just taunting without taunting.
This was the problem, right? In game 1, when they ran this Khumba in the jungle, it's similar to Khepri in the fact that I guess Khumba has more burst, but there's more control onto Khepri. Is that's very reliant on your carries getting ahead or having pressure elsewhere. Instead, Jablanque was getting outplayed. CycloneSpin was behind, and then Kiki didn't have a lot of burst on the Zhang. This time, he has a lot of burst onto the Apuash. Allied is winning his lane, and CycloneSpin was even for the most part, but has now taken a lead since Envy found some kills and invades.
You want to know what, Kevin? Actually, thinking back to that situation in that draft that we were so critical of on Envy. It's not the Khumba that I have problems with. I actually don't like the way the Zhang fit into that conversation. If it was a more bursty mid laner, I think it would have been a much different situation.
Possibility.
Or well, there's a big if because they now played fantastically in the outside lanes, which is really what drove that win. So, I don't know, but maybe a different mid laner would have changed the tune for Envy, as now they're trying to make things happen. Shadowq uses the Khumbakarna ult, and it obliterates Kiki. He's able to find himself safely out, and a kill. Makes the face, gonna get credit for that one. Sikandara is in the sky. He's gonna land safely instead of going aggressive.
Shadowq getting chased out here weekend. I don't think he's in range for the root yet, but he's trying to catch up to Shadowq. His boots are rank 3 on both ends. Not able to find that.
You mentioned it. The combination of the
nice speeds.
Very nice speeds. The combination of the knockup out of Shadowq into the ultimate out of Mace. That's the intention when it comes to the Khumbakarna, right? That's the dream, so to speak. That's what you want.
I didn't even know, like, people have practiced that timing. That's so hard. Honestly, shooting a Janus ult, especially that far away, and comboing it perfectly, that was, if anything, unfortunate for Denial because they were really wanting to blow up Kiki before the Khepri ult came out. Not enough damage, just short of it.
Gold Fury being aggressed on by Envy. 7 kills on their side. Denial still have yet to make a notch onto the scoreboard. This might be it. Weekend very low. He Khepri ults himself. And Denial unable to really find that kill, unfortunately. So Weekend gets out by the skin of his teeth. Still 7 kills to 0. But let's take a look at the graphs. After that objective, that's going to be a very different story. It's gold, 6,200 gold in the lead, and CycloneSpin trying to take the 1v1 and make things even more so in his team's favor.
Scourged out, though. Disarm coming through. Whalrus actually looking like he wants to turn it. There's a 4-man ultimate starting with Mace to the face. They're trying to lock down CycloneSpin. His ultimate is down, and there's nowhere for him to go. But we've seen that attempted multiple times from Denial, but finally it's successful.
Yeah, that's what we saw all game last game. Oh, it's a 1v1. Now it's a 4v1 because Mace to the face came through with 3 members.
Sikandara taking a very awkward path into the jungle. Gonna get caught out a little bit here. Should be fine, though. I don't think Weekend's be able to find this dash just out of range. I mean, that pluck is just out of range.
Ooh,
yeah, and like, I could see that it was just out of range, but Sikandara didn't know that, so he beat thinking he was gonna get pulled there.
Weekend didn't see that it was just out of range either.
Maybe he just wanted to bait it or just try it.
Missed by a centimeter. And that's a big point. Maybe he did just want to bait it because, as you said, Sikandara uses the beads, and those are beads too. So those are going to be on cooldown for a long time.
Incon rotating to this mid lane here. Shadowq, Mace to the face. Comboing, and this Hunter battle has been going back and forth. Both of these players, I think Allied's a little bit mad that he got 1v1 so many times. So we're seeing him take these fights against BronxBombers. Bronx isn't going to dash forward. Oh, no, he is!
And that's why it worked. But here comes the rest of Envy. Fantastic ultimate out of Allied. Almost takes the life of BronxBombers.
Both supports.
Good help from Denial.
Both supports rotating in, but I think Allied might have come on top. It would have been close either way. Incon going to take a little bit of poke. He'll be safe with the rollout, though.
I want to see. You know what? The other 4 players, can we just make a rule they're not allowed to come to the long lane?
I know.
Because I just want to watch Allied take on BronxBombers the whole time. Because that whole situation, Allied was on top, right? And then, you said it, he's not going to jump forward. And because of that thought process, BronxBombers was able to get the extra hand. He jumps up, throws down the ult, and both players leave with
I honestly think he would have
100
lost
HP?
that fight, but hey, all you Bronx, all you, man. You're feeling yourself after game 1.
That's confidence. And we've spoken to BronxBombers a couple of times, and if there's anything that guy has, it's confidence. He understands just how talented he is and always looking for the opportunity to prove it to
so
people.
we need to stop praising him right now. I get visually, I'm seeing it in my head, his head get bigger.
Here they are.
Bronx was I think he was 2 levels behind Allied too during that fight.
Yeah.
At least 1.
Still ready to
look at
fight.
that. Allied might get caught out here. Mace to the face smells him, but threshold's laid down. Not going to be slowed enough.
Mace, they see somebody by themselves, and all of a sudden there's 3 members of Denial here. Sikandara gets himself on the board. That's 2 kills for him, 2 kills in total for Denial. They trail Envy by 5.
Denial down 4,000 in gold, but they're still trying to find these pickoffs. This is what they need to do. This is what they've been doing effectively, at least for the past couple minutes. Mace to the face, the one that could get caught out, abducted, just barely missing.
Now it's going to be a little bit of a rumble here in the left jungle. Good mez by Shadow. And he's going to be plucked out by Weekend. Sikandara's in the air on Thor, looking for a large stun. Who's he going to land on, though? That's the real question. He's going to land on a Weekend. Weekend very low. Khepri ult is in place, so he'll be able to eject no problem.
Oh, CycloneSpin. He's going to have a big impact. He actually is able to stun out Sikandara there. Should have enough mana to hammer out, and that's all he's going to be able to do. Doesn't even have enough mana to wall, and Denial Esports chased out to their tier 1 on the left-hand side.
Yeah, that was a situation where...
And Whalrus is split pushing.
That was a situation where you can actually put the mana cost on your abilities and the options. If he didn't have that, he wouldn't have been able to get out, because I think he went down to 0 mana. As soon as the MP5 ticked up, he hammered out of there no problem. Well, many problems, maybe not no problem.
BronxBombers not going to be able to defend this. Sikandara rotating tier 1 tower, more than likely going to be going to Envy. Sikandara getting pretty aggressive here, and oh, he actually takes the portal out while Mace to the face wanted to fight.
That portal went from New York to California. That's one of the longest portals I've seen. We've seen a lot of these on the long lane, right, almost where Incon is right now. Shadowq's making him stop for a second.
Are they giving Incon up with that wall? They might. You can see Kiki. Kiki might be standing a little bit too close. Nice damage. Huge burst from him, but not going to be enough. Envy, they're like, sorry, Incon, you're done. Have fun.
And that happens to support sometimes, right? So right now, that's going to be the first death for Incon. He's 0-1-7. And as I said, that happens to support. Supports usually will let themselves die in place of their other carries. How much is too much, though? I'm sure that one death is fine. How much is too much for the support to really give up?
I mean, it really depends on the situation.
Right.
For now, Denial going to be starting up Gold Fury. Looks like they were just baiting the fight, though. They're going to be turning on to Weekend. Weekend does have ulti as max CDR, so it's up so often. He dashes out. Allied actually fighting in Posh ult. Sikandara to the back, pops the Scarab's Blessing.
And with that, Weekend's going to find himself safely out. Allied will follow. Whalrus here looking for a kill. Sikandara picks up Kiki in the front line. Weekend very low. He's going to pull Whalrus under the tower. He gave his life up. Can the rest of his team secure Whalrus? That's the question.
That was a super questionable abduct. I mean, so abduct, what it does is it silences you out from using abilities, but you could still auto attack the Khepri. So he was so low, just 3 auto attacks. Walrus locks him down. I don't think Weekend was thinking of that when he decided to pull him. Additionally, I love that forced fight. So what happens is it's Weekend and Incon's job to protect.
BronxBombers takes a lot out of Cyclone's ultimate and forces the eject out of Sikandara. So with that, Shadowq is still looking for more. CycloneSpin, he gets a little bit of help. He'll be fine.
It's Incon and Weekend's job to protect Kiki in these fights, and you saw Kiki just caught out alone. Even though he has a lot of damage, if he's not able to get it off, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So Incon forced to die, or died in that last engagement before it broke out. And then what happened was Sikandara went and focused Weekend, forced Weekend to spend all of his own abilities, keep himself alive, and the rest of Denial immediately turned on to Kiki to lock him down.
Exactly, because Weekend has been providing a lot of strong abducts to really help out and set things up. But one of the things that Khepri really does is he's almost a bard, for lack of a better term. He sits in the back, and Khepri assists the rest of his teammates, whether it's via abduct to control somebody while they deal damage, or it's through his abilities to increase or decrease the damage that they're dealing or taking respectively, right? If you force Khepri to use all of his abilities on everybody but his teammates, it's pretty much non-existent. So very smart play by Sikandara to find himself on the back line there.
Counter warding coming out. Sikandara going to be locked in that route. He'll hammer out fine, and then immediately counter-warded once again. Sikandara still has a Sentry available in his inventory. Meanwhile, Envy, none available for them. They're going to be the ones starting the Gold Fury, though.
Maybe for the moment. Right now, Envy playing it a little safe, though. I don't want to go too hard. Incon gets marked out. Because of that, he'll roll out.
Abduct coming out, Sikandara caught in place, but no one else to really combo as Kiki, he's zoned out of that one, and now Weekend, he's forced to have the shield on himself. Incon locking Shadowq in place. A lot of defensive abilities already used.
BronxBombers in trouble. He gets abducted right into the Medusa ult and followed up. Incon gets credit for that with a nice shockwave. Incon has to find a way out because he's very low. Sikandara does. He'll be safe. Shadowq, he's going to mez out CycloneSpin, so no stuns around. Denial has so much control and ability to leave the fights when they don't go their way.
They're still the ones who died there. You can see Allied and Incon sitting so low, but that's the amount of protection that Envy has on their teams. They have revives, they have damage reduction. They have another set of damage reduction.
He's able to mez a little bit. CycloneSpin still hitting the gas pedal. Shadowq's going to fall. A couple of basics. We'll confirm the death. Sikandara, I mean, there's not much he can do to protect his Guardian right there, and CycloneSpin gets credit for Shadowq as Denial backs off. Envy goes ahead and takes out the Tier 2 tower.
As well as the Gold Fury there. That's going to extend their lead right now, 7,000. It's going to be 8,500 as soon as this one falls, and 7,000 experience. Envy looking so much better in this game, too.
I don't know what it was. Denial, because that's the thing, Kevin. I mean, it's very easy to sit here and say, oh, Envy got woken up by that last win out of Denial, but it wasn't necessarily Envy playing poorly.
It's 100% team comp where, they drafted this protection comp just like they have now with the Khumba as well as the Geb last game, and now it's going to be the Khepri and the Geb, or excuse me, those gods mixed up, but it was the protect comp with a support jungler,
right?
That doesn't really do a lot of damage until later in the game, and they then drafted these lanes that just couldn't win directly, so they were all pushed back and they were forced back.
It's interesting. You say Khepri doesn't do a lot of damage, and well, he definitely doesn't.
It's not burst, right? It's poke.
Exactly. Well, I think if you ask any Smite player, does Khepri deal damage? The answer will be like, it's higher than 0. But no, Khepri's not a damage dealer. Khepri forcing Shadowq out of the conversation. Take a look at it. Player damage, number 4 is Weekend's Khepri.
He also has 4 abilities, 3 abilities that do damage in his normal kit. Not a lot of other gods have that. mezzed out.
Cyclone.
We actually could see CycloneSpin. Is his ult available? Yeah, he'll jump over that wall, but a lot expended into him. Macetodaface wants to chase him down.
Might have been a... Yeah, Denial understand that wasn't the smartest play. It was a great play to follow up, but they were met by members of Envy. Khepri going to help out. Allied takes out the mid laner as he comes around from the left-hand side. Shadowq now surrounded. BronxBombers going to provide some basics to try and deter Envy, but that's not the case. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, everything's going Denial's way
hammer.
as Sikandara takes out Weaken.
The back top of that hammer came crashing back down. Kiki gonna heal up a little bit as Sikandara has to ult away. Whalrus getting slowed. You can see CycloneSpin back in this fight after living, and BronxBombers being chased under the tower. It's gonna be Whalrus who dies there now. 2 dead on the side of Denial. They were only able to successfully take out Weaken. Incon rolling pretty deep. Double knockup. Shadowq rooting him in place, but they don't really have the damage to focus down this Geb. And yeah, they're just gonna have to back off.
You know, I want to highlight what Sikandara did there in that situation. He got dotted by Kiki, goes up in the air and escapes, but he does it very quickly. Smart zoning ultimate out of BronxBombers to delay Envy just a hair off of his tower. But Allied's
so
still
much
able to
poke.
get damage. Yeah, I mean, they're still able to deal damage, Envy.
Denial looks like they want to fight with Mace's ult there, but a little bit dangerous.
Yep, not
you
able
can see that
not
corpse
able to really...
explosion doing so much to deter. Sikandara going very deep, taking the portal, just kind of looking to catch anyone out here. But you can see Kiki throwing out his own corpses, healing up. Every time he gets poked down, as long as he can disengage successfully, he'll be able to heal himself up.
Denial now playing it safe, closer to their base. CycloneSpin. He's going to be interrupted just a little bit.
Denial Esports is going in, but their target priority seems to be switching every other second in these engagements, and you can see individuals just getting caught out. CycloneSpin is clearly the target right now, but he's going to jump away. Shadowq now changing priority, knocking a player into the air. Allied going to come crashing down. Do they have the burst to eliminate him? It doesn't look like it. And now Petrify locking 2 in place. Shadowq, he's slowed by so much. Sikandara to the air.
Incon very low, and Sikandara's going to land on top of Allied, but Allied deals the damage instead of Sikandara, and Sikandara pays for it. BronxBombers abducted right into the clutches of the rest of Envy, but being aggressive as always, jumps on top of Allied, gets the kill, but Kiki follows up immediately. Incon's going to fall to Whalrus with a good bludgeon. Shadowq rooted. 1, 2, 3, and a couple more. Weaken. Do they have the attack speed for it? That's the question. The answer is yes. Shadowq could have died at Kiki's basic. Weaken need a little bit of help there.
2 dead on the side of Envy. 3 taken out on Denial. The gold lead continuing to be expanded now. 11,000 in the lead is Envy. 11,000 experience as well.
You know, I got to bring up BronxBombers again. Always so aggressive. And this time it was interesting. I'm not sure if he jumped away, if he was going to get out of there anyway, so might as well just jump right in and pick up the kill onto Allied. And I think largely, Kevin, I think that prevented that fight from going even worse than it did for Denial.
If Allied lived in that fight, it's very likely that Envy would have immediately forced Fire Giant.
Right.
Without the damage from their Hunter, it was a little bit too risky from them, so they had to back off with 2 alive on the side of Denial, 1 being Macetodaface most notably, who is outputting a lot of damage. You can see he doesn't have Soul Reaver, or excuse me, not Soul Reaver online yet, but more than likely he'll be going this Book of Thoth. Doesn't have it online yet, but he will be swinging once that's there. Exactly.
So what looked to be a questionable decision out of BronxBombers, sometimes it's just about priority targets, and taking out Allied really impacted the rest of that fight. Now teams on the left side of the map looking more towards Gold Fury as an objective, despite being very late. We're almost at 28 minutes on the clock. All 5 members of Envy here. We're going to catch somebody out by themselves, and it's going to be BronxBombers.
In a lot of trouble.
He loses 60% real quick, and Cyclone looks to change that, and Weaken makes it 100%. Weaken gets credit for that one.
This is Envy's fight to lose. Sikandara teleporting out.
And Whalrus by himself on the back line. Allied's going to get a good ultimate, but better portal out of Mace. He understands the geography so well.
Nice wall coming out from Sikandara there to make sure Whalrus gets out of that one. He should be able to escape just barely. However, blinking by Khepri, though. Weaken going to be able to lock down Whalrus. Eagles rally over the top. That was still available. CycloneSpin. Kiki with the dot going to lock that one down.
CycloneSpin and Kiki combined for that kill very impressively. And here's Sikandara. He's wasting so much time. If he can actually escape out of here for a little bit longer,
You laugh, but this is actually very important because Denial, they lost so much in that fight. And Envy, they weren't able to take any towers. Instead, they're going to turn to the Fire Giant. Sikandara will be able to back, but successfully distracting Envy from walking in and taking a Phoenix at least.
Mace is here. And there is a threat. If you look at the ultimates, you can see that Mace's ultimate is down. So he's not going to be able... Well, it just comes up, but a hair too late. He takes a big chunk out of Kiki, but Allied takes a chunk out of his face. Macetodaface is going to sit down for about 40-plus seconds.
It looked like he was trying to snipe something out there unsuccessfully, however.
The ultimate just came up. He like, was sitting there mashing the button, waiting for it to hit 0, and unfortunately, Fire Giant fell when Macetodaface's ultimate was 1 second on cooldown, so not able to grab it. And Denial winds up on the wrong side of things. 8-20 are the kills here, folks. We'll take a look at the graphs as these last couple of gauges have been pretty much non-stop action, and it's all gone the way of Envy. 12,000 plus gold on the side of the team on top, and they've got a Fire Giant around their waists as well, ready to make a big, big push.
Going to be pushing up multiple lanes, more than likely. There's only one tower remaining on Denial's side. That, you could tell, is Envy's first look. Actually, Incon rotating in his jungle might be able to interrupt some backs here. Doesn't look... Okay, now he smells it out.
Incon gonna knock up 2. Here's some help from Weaken. It's still 2 Guardians, though, so where's the real damage? Here's Allied, and as soon as he shows his face, a portal shows up on the wall, and Denial walks in 2 separate directions. They don't really want to deal with that Medusa. I mean, Allied has been here and has killed them 7 times by himself.
Beads forced out by Macetodaface before this fight even starts. Beads 3, but that's 90 seconds that Envy will have to abuse Macetodaface and lock him down.
Envy's going to get the tier 2 tower for free. Denial doesn't want to defend underneath that. Instead, they'll turn their sights onto the Phoenix, but 2 people stuck out by the ultimate out of Incon after the blink. Here comes the rest of Team Envy, looking for more. Denial playing good defense. Right now, they're keeping Envy off of the Phoenix, which is the important part. Get the ultimate out of Kiki used off of the Phoenix. So again, Denial's kind of getting what they want up until this point, where Envy deals the damage with Allied, pushes forward, and the objective goes down.
They have damage. Denial has damage on their team, but they're not able to combo it and lock down individual targets. Blink it by Shadowq. He's trying to mess out Allied, who does beads, but he immediately gets pulled back. A couple more autos. Weaken finds the last hit. Sikandara to the air. Does he actually want to fight this? I mean, this is a 4v5 now.
The answer is yes. Lands right on top of Weaken. Weaken has a little bit of a shield. He'll fall through the portal. CycloneSpin picks up Whalrus. The rest of the team, Envy just piling into this base. Whalrus and Shadowq are dead. Titan hasn't really taken much damage yet. Instead, Envy going to look towards the Phoenix to help make this a little bit easier.
Denial, or excuse me, Envy playing this one very safe for now. Another pluck. Weaken is on point with these plucks. Incon finds Macetodaface. Only Sikandara left. This is more than likely to be a win for Envy. Shadowq spawning in 5 seconds. CycloneSpin. A little bit of BM taunts in the fountain there. But to be fair, they just dropped a game to the number 7 seed in North America. I don't know if you should be that BM right now. Envy, though, do secure their first seed, albeit giving Denial a chance, at least, to make land.
Yeah, I mean, I think that play on a CycloneSpin right there that you were talking about, it's sure, like, in one frame it's BM, but in another frame it's just, yeah, we're still number 1. Like, we made some mistakes last game.
I don't know, man. They dropped a game to Denial.
And I'm sure they're well aware, so they just come out saying, yeah, you know, we made some mistakes, but this time we showed you just how dominant we are. So Envy comes out on top fantastically. And last time we criticized sort of the jungle pick and how Khumbakarna didn't really fit out. This time around, Weaken is going to be our first blood. He started everything on the jungle Khepri.
It really just seemed to be, you know, game 1 for me was about them losing the lanes on their carry-in, so they weren't really able to make anything happen. But Weaken getting it rolling early here, able to lock out Macetodaface. And this was also comboed with, Incon rotated in as well, and Macetodaface was kind of just chased around.
I mean, eventually
this took a while.
Eventually, the 2 Guardians get the early kill. Later on, we saw a little bit more damage out of those two characters. Khepri, of course, you know, items help that. But early on, it can be a laborious experience for 2 Guardians to go ahead and take things out. So Envy wind up on top of this game, and some of their players do as well. AlphaDraft.com is a great place where you can put your mind to the test. And if you're picking your own teams, well, this is a good look. All 5 members of Envy up on top.
Weekend making some big plays, sitting at the #1 spot, all over the map, finding really nice abduct plucks, and that seemed to be really the Game 2 style for EnVyUs. They were able to really take out some individuals in the jungle before fights really broke out. Then they had the numbers advantage. They also had the 2 Guardians to better protect Kiki, as well as Allied picked a god that he could win lane with and dominate, and then rotate and just have more of an impact than BronxBombers.
And not just win lane with, but just control the rest of the map, and that's going to be a large part of why Allied is our player of the game. Is 7-1-9 on the Medusa, and we mentioned it earlier. It's about the team fights, and I would be very surprised if a lot of these highlights aren't Allied with his team fighting the entire enemy team, right? It's these group ultimates, it's the group acid spray, and Allied always seems to find fantastic positioning and the priority target when he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, just that's really been Allied's thing for a long time. Not necessarily taking these 1v1 fights, but just team fighting and having phenomenal positioning. You only saw him die once in that entire game, so good job from him.
All business for Allied in this game. Like we said, coming out strong here. Another great ultimate out of Allied, and they just continue. I mean, I don't know how many clips we have here. Well, they just ended, but I don't know how many clips we had there, and there were so many other of the small things that went down for Allied. We're going to be joined here by the jungler, Weekend. Of course, he's going to be here on the line. Congratulations on your 1-win, Weekend. How you doing today?
What's up, guys? I'm pretty good.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you the obvious question. Talk to me about Jungle Khumba, Jungle Khepri. What do these odd off-choice, off-meta Guardian picks do for you guys in the jungle?
I mean, Khepri surprised me even when I tried it. It's just got a lot of control, and the fact that it's off DR of like Athena taunt or Geb knockup, stuff like that. It's a long CC chain. It's really good.
So what went wrong in game 1, or more specifically the past couple sets you've had? Because, you know, going into like the 7th week, you guys had only dropped 1 game to Eager, but 4 dropped games here in recent weeks. Not something we really expected from you guys.
Well, we've been trying out a lot of different things. Sometimes in scrims they work, but obviously scrims can only show you so much. So we're still kind of getting the feels on what works and what doesn't, you know?
Okay. How attached to you are you to the #1 seed? I mean, we see you guys, as you said, sort of experimenting a little bit. Do you want to stay in the #1 seed, or are you content to fall down to 2?
We're getting first place.
That's the answer that I like to hear.
We're getting first place.
I like to hear that answer. There's really, nothing else to say about that one. Now, interesting choices for you guys in the jungle, and we saw sort of a return to the standard that we expected of CycloneSpin. We've seen some hells and some things that are a little bit, you guys even mentioned not his traditional play style. What does it mean to bring CycloneSpin back to the Osirises and stuff?
I mean, does Cyclone really have like his set of picks though? That's the thing. Like, we kind of let him do what he wants. Yeah, he really does. We let him do what he wants, but there's a place in the meta where things are just safer and you can make mistakes, but those mistakes don't go that far. So Osiris, stuff like that are going to allow you to make mistakes and just win the game still.
Awesome. So I do want to talk a little bit specifically about game 1. Myself, I took note. A lot of it was the fact that you drafted kind of a similar style to the game 2 that you won with, but it was kind of like your hyper carries didn't have a lot of pressure in the early game, and the fact that they really lost their lanes. Is that really where you felt it went wrong in game 1?
Well, we let them lose their lanes. We knew there would be a lot of pressure on Cyclone with the global ults, so we knew to be in position to help him for that. And in the beginning of the game, we lost the fight because Incon wasn't quite in position. He was late to the fight, even though we knew it was coming. So, I mean, it's just kind of a misplay. I mean, the picks could have been better, but it was more us not playing at our normal level.
Okay. Makes sense for me. And with that win that Denial has, they're still in the money. But you guys, of course, as you said, we're going to be in first place. So confident words out of you guys. Congratulations and good luck in your future games. Is there anything you want to say to the people at home before we let you go, Weekend?
Just thanks to EnVyUs and our sponsors, and also if you guys go and subscribe to my channel, you guys can get that 667 emote.
Turn up.
Turn up, man. Fantastic. Way to take things in stride. Thank you so much. That, of course, is jungler for Envy, previously known as AFK. So Weekend taking things in stride. Always a fantastic guy. That's it for Denial versus Envy. We've got another game coming up for you this afternoon. It's going to be Eager versus Enemy. Should be exciting.
We'll see if Enemy can make sure they put some distance between themselves and Denial, as Denial has closed the gap.
We'll see you soon.